Good morning, race fans. It's bright and early here on the west coast of the States, and that means it's a beautiful morning for some Lotus 49 racing. With the Nordschleife in the rearview mirror, the drivers can focus their attention on more traditional tracks and work on consistency for the rest of the season. Previous multi-time champion Togo Hisada has had a troublesome couple starts to get things rolling. Will it be the championship contender Jorge Nieves stretch out the points even more today? Let's find out as we get ready to watch round number 4 of the Lotus 49 Grand Prix Legend Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joey Atterbury, and joining me in the booth today is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Christian Deploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. For those of you that missed the Real World Sandown Endurance event just a couple weeks ago, let's get a rundown of this Australian circuit with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Sandown International Motor Raceway. Located on the east side of Melbourne, Australia, like many older racetracks, it started life as a horse racing circuit. But unlike the numerous ovals that emerged from that trend, this one wound up as a road course. At just over 3 kilometers, or slightly under 2 miles, the 13 turns don't make it look terribly complex. However, once you get into the cockpit, you get a clearer picture that it's anything but simple. Of the various chicanes and 90-degree corners dotting the course, the first turn is one of the more open ones. In fact, both the front and back straights lead into very tough places to overtake. Turn 6 at the end of the back stretch is the more notorious one, with it being scarily fast, blending directly into 7, 8, and 9, as well as offering very little runoff to the outside. Meanwhile, Turn 4 and Turn 12 stand out as two of the most critical corners on the track. Both leading onto long flat-out runs means ideally you'll need to focus on your corner exits to ensure a better lap time. While Australian supercars steal the limelight, the place has also seen a variety of types of racing, from sports cars to open-wheelers and of course motorcycles. In fact, the famous Lotus 49 saw victory lane here at the hands of Jim Clark in 1968 in a non-championship F1 race. Local noise restrictions may have limited it to only 5 race weekends a year, but it still offers thrills to the numerous race fans who show up each and every time.
It's a beautiful circuit down in Australia, Craig, and one that's not driven too much here on iRacing.
No, not driven a lot, Joey, but did you know the quickest way down a hill is to go down it fast? See, that's the story with Sandown today. The biggest breakiest corners are Turn 1 and Turn 6, and as you can gather, they're both hard downhill corners, slightly downhill on some of them, that require early braking from the high speed, and of course smooth control as the drivers will try to get around those tight corners. Now, you could also call Sandown the Gilles Villeneuve circuit of Australia. It features 3 chicanes, and each one will provide a unique challenge to the driver. Now, the normal process is to attack the curves on these chicanes to set yourself up for the next section. To do that, though, you will need to keep the revs down on the car or risk gearbox and wheel spin issues. So being a supercar track, means downforce isn't really required around here. That would be a blessing for the Lotus cars today. But of course, as I said, that key will be controlling those speed differences required for those corners.
It'll be an interesting one, and those long straightaways definitely provide some immense top speeds, even in these Lotus 49s. But we have today's championship run so far. We've got the F1 and the F2 points standings. I mentioned it in the intro. Jorge Nieva off to an early start, 20 points ahead of multi-time champion Togo Hisada back there, who's had a troublesome couple events to kick off the season. Kevin Verbruggen only a single point behind Togo there in third place. Nicola Kocky looking to rebound a little bit as well, sitting in fourth. No Seb Tixier today here, who's in fifth place. Connor Tolman with a good start. Andreas Valenteas, Matthew Maudsley, Cam Porter, Leo Squero, all involved in the top 10. But we also have the F2 point standings, Craig.
Yeah, we've got the F2. Mats Linden is currently leading away from Jan Stefan. You can see how close it is with Sandeep there in third. And it is close on that podium with Jonathan Jordan also there in fourth with Tobias Avani in fifth. And the rest of the field just paddling down. Interesting that Jordan only picked up 8 points last time out, so it looks like he's trying to get a few more points this time. David Moose and David Anderson just bringing up the rear there, with Andres Bruno also there, very tight at the bottom of the top 10.
And as well as both driver standings, we have the team standings here with the 49s. The Cup of Nations right now, Spain is currently leading the way with 152 points. The Netherlands sitting there in second, Japan in third place. Italy and the U.S. round out the top 5. Also have several more represented inside the top 10, including Singapore, Lithuania, United Kingdom, Germany, and Sweden. We're still early days in the season over here, so not only the points championship for the drivers, but that Cup of Nations will change quite a bit as well. And Craig, I think the last thing on our rundown here is today's race details.
Yeah, we'll get to the race details. It's, of course, round 4. It's 31 laps around here today, around this track. It's an open setup, so bring whatever you've got for setups, and there's no spare car, so you break it, you're done for the day. A drive-through penalty is at 17x. Don't think we'll see that today with the way the track is. Disqualification will be 25. You may see a risk down at the bottom of the field with some off-tracks, but the chicanes are so tight, I think there's a lot of runoff there that doesn't give you 1x. Joey.
It's going to be the case of not running into your competitor. I always say it every single week. The Formula cars, they're so fragile. They're not sedan cars. They're not production cars. So if you go barging in your way into a competitor, or maybe even off the track, especially with the high speeds that are here at Sandown, you're going to find yourself in a quick bit of trouble. What's happening right now on the racetrack is qualifying is currently winding down. Nicola Kocky in the number 3 car is actually your provisional pole sitter, but this man right here, Jorge Nieva, still has a lap left to go. So I'm curious if this lap right here is going to get him that top spot. He's currently provisionally P3 with a 105.6. Pole is a 105.1, so he's got to knock off about a half a second. Craig, he's actually tracking to the good right now.
He's tracking very good. Up the hill he goes. He's done turn 5. This is the downhill turn 6. Hard braking. He will hit the braking and down he goes. He's looking really good. Look at him use the curves as much as he can. That might be an off track there. We'll have to keep an eye on there. I thought he may have gone all wheels over the yellow lines here, not white lines like we see in normal motor racing. But now hard down into one of the chicanes. This comes to the end of the track. You set yourself up here on turn 12 to get a good exit into this little kink, which is 13. And I was thinking there was an off track there.
A 105.265. That's going to jump him up to P2 on the board. So not quite fast enough to displace Nicola Kocky at the top. And you see the timing on the pylon there, only about 10 seconds remaining. Jason Clapper isn't even in his little open wheeler. He is going to start from the back, as we typically see from that number 9. And going to try to pass everybody on the way up to the front before he reaches the checkered flag. So the session clicks over from qualifying to our official race grid, and we will have your starting order momentarily. Nicola Kocky, your pole sitter in the number 3. Jorge Nieva is going to be lined up next to him on the front row. Kevin Verbruggen and Jacob Reed share row number 2 with Leo Sequeira starting 5th place and Kyle Ridley in 6th. Steve Morris 7th, Gary Ho 8th, Ove Trengrade in 9th, and Jeff Saunders in 10th.
We turn over to the second page. It's going to be Bjorn Ackerman in 11th with Roberto Pangazzi in 12th. Cam Porter will be unlucky 13th. And Hannah Fetchner will be 14th. Then it's Michael Grisner in 15th. Kurt Clapper will be 16th. Arnold Koch will be 17th. Jan Stefan will be 18th. Tavana Tarani 19th. And Sanjeev Banjari will be 20th.
In 21st place, we've got Jonathan Jordan with Damian Struthers in 22nd. Matt Keane in 23rd. Mats Linden 24th. Jason Clapper 25th. Tomas Tuba 26th. And Michael Burbridge starting in the 27th position out here. Got about a minute left for all of these cars to line up on the grid. And quite frankly, Craig, I'm seeing a lot of fog out there. We don't have any rain on the racetrack per se, but relatively low temperatures, high speed on the winds, 19 miles an hour on the winds. These things don't have big wings, but they are relatively lightweight.
Yeah, they are lightweight. That wind's going to be an issue. 28 Celsius, 82 Fahrenheit is the track temp. Humidity very foggy as we're going to get going right now.
Yeah, the revs are up and Barney drops the green flag, and it's Jorge Nieva with an excellent start. Nicola Kaki does not spin the wheels, but doesn't get the traction and now almost gets rear-ended, I believe, from the number 5 of Kevin Verbruggen, but there's no contact as we make our way through turn number 1 and into this very tedious and tricky turn 2, 3, 4 complex. You see Nicola Kaki with the number 1 car, Jacob Reed, trying to get to the inside, but Jorge Nieva 1.3 seconds out in front already.
Jorge's got that run already, and this is Kevin Verbruggen who's going to be trying to go around the outside of Jacob Reed. It's going to be very tough down this corner. He's going to try and do it side by side. He's got a lot of slide, and he cannot hold on to that. Jacob Reed's going to hold on to P3. Kevin's going to be careful not to be chased by Kylie Ridley. Real good start at the front there for Jorge. Jacob needs to hold on to that position that he took early on from Kevin. And if he can just solidify it for one more lap, he may be all right.
31 laps is what we are going to be doing here today, and we've already clicked off the first one. Jorge Nieva leads it by 1.1 seconds over your pole sitter of Nicola Kaki, and then in third place we've got Jacob Reed with a nice start, made that pass on Kevin Verbruggen on the back straightaway here, so that relegates Kevin down to 4th place, and then Kyle Ridley sitting there in 5th as well. But you see this big old train. This is going to be the theme here at Sandown. It's really a stop and start circuit where you got to park the car in these very slow corners, manage your way through it, and then be extra careful trying to roll on that throttle down the straightaway.
And we've actually seen that already. We're looking at Kevin Verbruggen just there. He could not get to the apex of turn 4. You need to get a good exit on turn 4 to really attack turn 5 onto the straight there. He did not get the apex he wanted. Ridley behind could not get behind him, could not get an advantage. Verbruggen's just using the slipstream, punching the hole as much as he can, holding on to Jacob Reed. They are still toe-to-toe together. In fact, when you look at it, 2nd down to 7th are all in a little pack. Leo Spiro just losing out that pack, but it is very close up there. Jorge Rivera, fastest lap so far, and you can just see the drivers, they are trying to beat it.
And just as you said that, Nicola Kaki snatched away that fast lap, so maybe we're going to see a duel between Nieva and Kaki at the front. We'll keep you all posted. It's about 1.0, 1.2 seconds between the two of them right now as we keep our eyes on Kevin Verbruggen chasing Jacob Reed, but I actually think that it's Kyle Ridley who's that car in the number 7. He's the one that's following this, call it baby blue Lotus 49, and he's the one that's applying the pressure to the back of Kevin Verbruggen here. He's also got Leo Sequeira right on the back, so I think it's just going to be a pressure combination between these trio, and who can force that mistake going into the brake zone. You had mentioned those curbs as well. They can definitely upset the car, but I think the characteristic that I'm looking for today is who's the most patient on that throttle pedal, because there's so many acceleration zones.
Well, exactly. You already talked about those curves we've seen in the background. This is Roberto Pangazzi trying to make a nice little move. Ove Trengrade is the car in front of these guys. He had a mistake through 7 and 8. Just getting the car upset, so when he came into braking for turn 9, did not have all the traction on those tires. They just went over a bit too hard and he missed control and he went off. So he's gone down the order, and Roberto still trying to fight. That's going to be a tight move, and around the outside they go. Not a move that you're expecting. We do have a spinner up ahead of them, and it is Jeff. It was Jeff Sanders.
And speaking of, you had said it, and then Pengrazi went around himself. I'm going to call you Miss Cleo. You can see in the future. So some problems there with Pengrazi as well as Jeff Saunders in, call it the turns 2 and 3 section of the racetrack. But this is back up to our, call it top 5 battle. Kevin Verbruggen has closed it in on Jacob Reed. I had mentioned that it was really more Kyle Ridley putting the pressure on Kevin, but he evidently heard me and said, I am going to go up there and challenge for that podium position. So this trio only separated by, call it, less than a car length between them, and now Kevin's going to take a look down to the inside. He's not all the way there to present the car in the brake zone, but sometimes that's all you need to do is flash that nose in the mirror, get the driver in front, his eyes off of that brake marker or that apex.
Yeah, perfect move there from Kevin, and he realizes as well 2 seconds up the road now, which is the rest of the field, so he knows he has to make this move as soon as possible. And you can just see he gets so close, but the braking needed, you're braking almost just there. It's so tough. He's going to try it this time down. Has he carried the speed? Has he managed to turn off the speed? Real good maneuver there, and gets it down into 7 and 8. Now finally holds it in 9. Real good control there. He needed that badly because he would be losing out to the top 2 had he not made that move on Jacob.
I'm going to pull out a little Talladega Nights there for Kevin, and that was a little bit of a Magic Man move. Now you see me, now you don't, because he had some blinking going on the back straightaway, maybe even used that to his advantage, but did make the pass for what is now 3rd place. So Jacob Reed, and call it the green and yellow number 1, gives chase as we take a look at GSRC replay here. This is the number 12 car of Jeff Saunders spinning around, and then here comes Pengrazi. Remember that, Craig? You were commentating on that, and then all of a sudden you had said spin, and Roberto said, okay, I can do that.
I was going to say, I'm glad you said it like that instead of me saying that was in the future, because I would not be giving you the lottery numbers. I'd be keeping them for myself so I can get into this action, as Kevin now is having to be the defender, but he's not able to catch up to the rest of the field. It will be the first lap under clean air for him, so it'll be interesting to see what he does if he can pull away, but still 3 seconds up the road are the top 2, and now you've got to feel this is really a battle between Jacob Reed and Kylie Ridley, and also Verve Trangere. This is a battle to undo the mistake he had here a few laps ago and try and climb up the field.
So this is what is for 9th place. Bjorn Ackerman's leading the charge here in kind of this purple multicolored number 14. And you got Hannah Fechner right behind him. Cam Porter, Ove Trengrade, and Arnold Cook all involved in, call it, 5-car skirmish heading out onto the front straightaway here. Let's see if one of them can maybe pull a little bit of a slipstream. I actually think Hannah's a little bit closer to Bjorn than any of the rest of the 3 as we jump on the brakes into turn 1, and Bjorn gets way out wide. He almost misses the corner there. That allows Hannah Fechner on through to 9th place, and Cam Porter here in the red and checkerboard number 13 is right on the gearboxes. Ackerman slides wide again, so what was 9th place for Bjorn turns into 12th in a span of 4 turns.
Yeah, I think Bjorn may have just done a little bit overheating on the tires there, and he may have just lost some of the traction. Tried to do a little bit of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater there on the exit of turn 1. Did not work for him. He's now lost another position, as you see on the back of this car now. Cam Porter the head, but we have had a mistake, and that's Arnold Koch. He's just gone in too hard into turn 9. He loses the car. Everyone manages to avoid him. There he is, but he spun the car and not in a good position. Can he get it rolling before using the gravel trap? He can. That's going to be handy, but this straight, as you see now with Ridley, this is quite an interesting straight. It's one of the longest straights on the track, and there's only really 2 straights on the track, but I think it's too short for these drivers to really utilize an overtake.
It's a start and stop circuit, isn't it? As soon as you kind of get the flow going, all of a sudden that next brake zone comes up and you got to jump on it, and you're like, I was just so gosh dang close to being able to make a lunge going in there. I needed 200. See if Christian gets back in here. Welcome back, folks. We are fixing some technical issues over here with the internet, and we'll have the pictures of the live race broadcast to you